Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Wealth Building mini class. I'm Millen Livis, financial independence mentor and author of 2 best-selling books, A Shift Toward Abundance and A Shift Toward Purpose. As I mentioned before when I was promoting this Wealth Building mini class, I mentioned that I decided to do a series of wealth building mini classes on the topic of money matters and your relationships. So today I want to share with you 8 guidelines for couples, whether you engaged or married, 8 guidelines for couples about money matters. Whether you're in a committed relationship or thinking about getting married or already married, I believe that some of these guidelines, or maybe all of them, will apply to your situation as well. As you probably heard, arguments about money are a leading predictor of divorce, a leading predictor. And I want to start today's class by sharing with you a little story from my own personal life. I recall that my husband told me that when I met you, I was afraid to propose because I wasn't sure if I can afford you. He said, you look like $1 million and you acted like $1 million, and I was not sure if I could afford living with you. But then I got to know you and know your money patterns and your money habits, and the rest is history. So I just want to tell you that from the very beginning, we talked about our finances and our financial ambitions openly. Because we both were divorced, we both had children from previous marriages, and we both had assets and liabilities. So from the very beginning, we were willing to be naked, financially naked with each other, to speak openly about money matters. I didn't want to experience money taboo in our relationship, and communicated this to my then boyfriend up front. I didn't want to have money taboos. And we both pretty much wanted to know what financial obligations each of us had, what we feel about accumulating credit card debt, which I felt very strongly about not having, and where we want to live, etc. Right? So we had a lot of conversations that involved money, and these conversations were not always easy. We had a lot of differences, and we had to talk about these differences. But the fact that we could talk about them openly, that we could discuss money matters together, and that we could focus on solutions was very helpful. So over the years, our relationship evolved and our financial life evolved. So today I want to share with you 8 guidelines that helped us to be in a more alignment with each other, personally and financially. So the first guideline that I want to introduce to you is having money dates. So I believe that a money date could help you create a solid foundation around money in your marriage. And basically what it is having candid conversation and candid discussion about your financial experiences, your hopes, and your fears. You and your partner have unique money story, different money experiences. And now, as a couple, You've got to get to know what yours or his values are around financial matters. So this money date can be very informal, and what is really important, that it's pleasant. You don't have to start money date with or declare money date with the phrase, "We need to talk." No, not like that. Be more inviting, be more in your playful state, playful energy, and invite your partner to have a candid conversation. And what is very important, that you listen with your heart and with your mind. So I want to share with you some questions that you could ask your partner. For example, you could ask him or her, what did you learn from your parents about managing money? What did you learn from your parents about managing money? Another question that you could ask could be, what are your expectations from a partner around money? What are your expectations from basically me when it comes to money? Another question that you could ask would be, what are your fears or concerns about money? It's important to know. And you know what, even if you already married, these questions apply. What are your fears and concerns about money? Maybe he or she doesn't have any, but maybe he does. So another question, especially if you're not married yet, would be very appropriate to ask, do you currently have debt? And if yes, what kind of debt? You could also ask, what is your long-term vision for us? For us. What is your long-term vision for us? And you could also ask, where do you see us in the next few years? So pay attention and see whether your values with your partner are aligned. For example, you could ask, if you're not married yet, how much would you like to spend on a wedding? And see what he says or she says. Or you could ask, where would you like to live, in a house or rent an apartment? That's important to know as well, because that reflects the values. You could ask, how do you feel about me being a stay-at-home mom, for example, if you're not married yet, and once we have kids? And you could also ask, what do you think about investing? So you may find out, just by having candid conversation and asking these questions, you may find out things that you didn't expect. But the purpose of money dates, the purpose is not to judge each other, to judge each other's values or preferences, but pretty much get to know each other better from financial standpoint. Okay? All right, moving on, because I'm very mindful of your time. The second guideline that I invite you to consider is unpacking your bad debt. I believe that bad debt, and I differentiate between good debt and bad debt. Good debt is leverage, when you borrow money to grow your wealth. And bad debt is when you're paying, I don't know, 16, 24% on something that doesn't appreciate in value over time. So bad debt is a form of financial slavery, I believe. And when you get together as a couple, you must be considerate and mindful about not putting your debt obligations on the person that you're about to marry or already live with. Because when you're a couple, you officially may not be responsible for another's debt. But if you don't live like roommates, then you probably would care about this person's, your partner well-being, and level of stress, etc. And you would, if your partner has that and you are now married, you will be mutually willing to decrease this debt, right? So the level of stress would be less. So another way of putting this, that if you have debt and you get into relationship, this will become a collective burden for you as a couple. So it will also hinder your desires and your progress in terms of accomplishing your financial goals together. So I invite you to commit to significantly reduce that before you get married, or if you are already married, be very mindful and considerate about not being over spender, right? And not have excessive credit card debt, because frankly, it would be concern for any person in a relationship if the other partner has significant debt. I would consider this as a red flag. If this person has debt and doesn't have any plan or clear shown commitment to pay it off. So I like to say it takes two to tango, right? So next guideline is growing your savings. Marriage usually has an added benefit besides many other benefits. The added benefit is that you now will have two income sources. But it also comes with additional expenses. I understand, maybe buying a new home, or expenses on transportation, food, clothing, vacations, etc. So to achieve your financial ambitions and goals as a couple, you've got to start saving money actively and make growing your savings a priority as a couple. And you can grow it, you can have individual saving accounts and joint accounts. I don't like to say that something is right or wrong. I think that whatever works in your relationship is for both of you, that would be the right way for you. But in general, I think that having joint saving account is a good idea, because this will allow you to have maybe down payment on a new house that you want to have, or purchase a new car, or start investing and grow your money. So I believe that couples can have individual and joint accounts, saving accounts. And again, this is something that has to be discussed potentially on a money date. All right. Okay. So next guideline is having a prenuptial agreement. I know that prenuptial agreements have less stigma these days than they had before, because more and more people have second and third marriages, right? So whether it's your first marriage or not first marriage, you have your own financial history as well as your partner does as well, right? So many people remarry maybe a couple of times, and their divorce experience taught them some important lessons about being clear and being upfront about your finances. So many come to a new marriage with children from previous marriage, or with elderly parents, or maybe with student loan debt, or large savings or inheritance, etc. So a prenup is a very helpful way if you want to protect the assets that you acquired prior to getting married. It's simply a smart move to have a clear financial agreement, so you avoid any misunderstandings and pains that may come with not having clarity about your finances before. So if you're already married without the prenup and feel that you really want to fix this, you may consider the post-nup agreement. You know, again, that needs to be discussed. It's not something that you can decide and impose, right? No. It's not like that in a relationship. You cannot impose anything. You can suggest, and it has to be discussion. Okay, so guideline number 5 is I invite you to update your beneficiary, your trust, your beneficiary information, your trust information, will and life insurance information. So as an individual, you may have joint or separate bank or brokerage accounts. You may have trust, you may have wills and insurances. Once you are a couple, you've got to make sure that you have each other's names as beneficiaries on all financial documents. It may not be the most romantic thing to do, but it's an important thing to do. So both you and your partner want to have confidence about financial security and feel that that you will be taken care of in case of unforeseen situation in life, which things happen, right? Okay, moving along to guideline number 6, make health insurance decisions. So again, this is another very practical aspect of your relationship around money matters. I invite you to have a discussion about health insurance coverage. Who has a better health insurance policy? What is covered by your health insurance and what is covered by your partner's health insurance? What are the costs, right? So make a decision which policy will work best for your situation, especially if you have children or plan to have children. So make sure that you do all the paperwork timely and have adequate health coverage. Next guideline is have clear guidelines and boundaries. Money sometimes can trigger passionate conversations, also known as arguments. It's super important that you and your partner maintain respectful boundaries and don't get into judging or blaming or putting each other down or doing name calling. Even if you feel that your partner doesn't understand your point of view or openly disagrees with you, it doesn't give him or you a free pass to be condescending or act superior. Okay, so this is so important. And as a woman, I invite you to leverage your wisdom, your inner wisdom, and your feminine energy when it comes to discussing money matters with your partner. Because I don't believe that you have to seek for your partner's approval. I believe that you can seek for your partner's support. So different views are expected in any relationships. Fights and insults should not be part of it, should not be part of this conversation. So establish clear guidelines and boundaries in your money conversations. And the final guideline that I want to share with you is normalize your money conversations. Normalize your money conversations. For many couples, speaking about money is a natural taboo. They had so many unpleasant experiences when they talked about money before that they started avoiding money conversations altogether. And I want to tell you that avoidance of something that is that important and is on your mind is not the solution. Instead, make your money conversations more enjoyable and normal in your relationship, not something to be avoided at all costs. So how can you do that? I believe you can do it by making a mutual decision to normalize money discussions. Agree on having these conversations openly and respectfully. Your love will get stronger when there are pockets of fear and distrust are removed. So that concludes my mini class today. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your insights, and whether you watch it live or you watch it in the recording, just post it in the comments. I would love to hear from you what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what resonated, what did not. And I invite you to join me again for the next mini class that I will offer maybe in a week or so. And in the meantime, stay in your power. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. See you soon.